What's up N64 champions and Skill Club 64 masters? Welcome back to the Skill Club 64 challenge. We're on an epic mission to conquer all 61 brutal N64 gaming feats that have stumped players for over 25 years. And last time, we defied all expectations, pushing Quake II from easy to a new PAL world record. But today we're swapping shotguns for bananas and Strog for, well, talking elephants. We're diving into one of the N64's most beloved racers, Diddy Kong Racing. And this challenge is not just about winning, it's about absolutely smashing WizPig all over again. So get ready for speed, strategy, and a whole lot of balloon collecting. For challenge number 6, the N64 Randomizer graced us with the vibrant, charming world of Diddy Kong Racing. But this wasn't just any race, the challenge was to complete Adventure 2 mode and collect all 47 balloons. Now if you've played DKR before, you know Adventure 2 is no joke. It's the harder, mirrored version of the original Adventure mode with a twist. For Adventure 2, the AI is on hard difficulty, and to make life even more miserable, the location of the coins in the silver coin challenge sections have been completely changed. This time into much more difficult locations to collect. And 47 balloons, that means every single TT amulet piece, every silver coin challenge, every boss race, and beating the evil WizPig not once but twice. This isn't just about winning a race or getting a best lap time this episode, this is about absolute total domination of the game's hardest mode. This challenge requires precision, replayability, and deep knowledge of every track and character. It's an N64 marathon, not a sprint. Now DKR is one of my all-time favourite games, but I have a confession. As much as I've played the heck out of this game, I've never actually played to completion the Adventure 2 mode before. So I am excited to finally get this ticked off my completion list. So alright kart racer fans, let's break down this balloon collecting odyssey one by one. This is how you conquer Adventure 2. But before we begin, we have the all-important character selection. A few years ago I streamed the completion of Adventure 1 mode on this channel from start to completion, and so if you know how much I love this game, then you'd know that Tip Top is my ride or die here. But for those not in the know, well, he has a high acceleration and great steering, but his top speed is very low. I had no problem using Tip Top to complete Adventure 1 mode, but I suspect that Adventure 2, having the harder AI and more challenging silver coin locations, will cause me more of a problem with Tip Top. But for now, let's dive in. As always, the adventure begins with the genie of the island saying he's here to help us. And for the record, I was always pissed that they changed his voice in the 3DS version, but rants aside, we grab our first balloon and we're into Dino Domain. Ancient Lake is up first, and given this is the easiest track in the game, it caused no problems for me. Whilst doing the race, I also took the detour to collect the first key needed to unlock the battle arena. An easy win, and we've got our second balloon. Fossil Canyon was yet another easy win. So far I was having no problems with Tip Top, and the biggest challenge I felt with facing was that the ingrained muscle memory I had of the tracks being the normal way around. That's Balloon 3 taken care of and on to the next race. Jungle Falls was also taken down without much difficulty. This is one of my specialist tracks in non-mirror mode, and so the biggest challenge here was not dunking in the water over the bridge, and the fourth balloon was collected. Before going into Hot Top Volcano, I needed to grab the island's other secret balloons to have enough to unlock the course. I decided to grab the 3 in one go just to save having to do them individually later. Now thankfully they are in the same position as the regular adventure mode, so it only took me a minute or so. Hot Top Volcano saw me jump into the plane, and it was another easy race to win first time, and in doing so we unlocked the first of many boss battles to come. Tricky the Triceratops caused me no issues. I took the shortcut halfway up the mountain to take him down first time, but now the real challenge begins, because with Tricky beaten, we now needed to take on the silver coin challenges for Dino Domain. Fossil Canyon is back, and my typical strategy when it came to the silver coin challenges is always to use the first lap or two to figure out the new placement of the silver coins, so that I could then work out an optimal collection route to then do the race properly. And this was the first silver coin challenge, and I didn't find it particularly challenging. but if only I knew how much harder things would become. Ancient Lake Silver Coin Challenge was surprisingly easy, and I did this first time and took the balloon count into double digits. Hot Top Volcano caused more of a challenge though. My first attempt saw me struggle to unlearn the route through the course, and on my second attempt I got lucky and managed to take the dub right at the death by overtaking Diddy. I also completed Jungle Falls on my second attempt, but I was now starting to see just how much more difficult the placement of the silver coins was becoming. Whereas in Adventure 1 you could usually get all coins in a single lap and then focus on the final 2 laps as a pure race, in Adventure 2 you could often find yourself needing to collect coins on every lap due to their harder positioning. Back to Tricky the Triceratops, and I beat him first time once again, although this time I forgot there wasn't a zipper on the ground in the shortcut, and so it was touch and go with just how slow Tip Top was going up the steep incline. We now had our first piece of the amulet, and all that remained in Dino Domain was to win the trophy race, which after the Silver Coin Challenge was an absolute breeze, and then to move on to win the Fire Mountain Battle Arena, which again I took the prize first time. With Dino Domain completed, I headed out into the overworld map where the genie challenged me to a race. These are never difficult, and with him beaten I was given balloon number 13. Now given the genie said he was here to help us right at the start of the adventure, if he has all these hidden balloons he really should have just given them to us, but nevertheless I decided to tackle Snowflake Mountain as the next world, and if any place in N64 gaming makes it feel like Christmas, this is it. Everfrost Peak was quickly beaten, which gave us balloon number 14, and I then moved on to Frosty Village for balloon 15, Walrus Cove for balloon 16, and then on to Snowball Valley for number 17, as well as grabbing the secret key. All of these races were beaten first time, and so even with the challenge of having to fight against my memory of the track layouts, things were progressing very quickly. With that completed, it was on to our first race against Bluey the Walrus. He's a boss I've never had any issues with in the past, and even with the fiddly controls of the hovercraft and the slippery nature of the snow and ice, he proved no match for Tip Top. And we can now move on to the Silver Coin Challenge for this world, and this is where things start to ramp up in terms of difficulty. For balloon number 18 I decided to hit up Snowball Valley first because I know from Adventure 1 that this track always causes me problems. It's a combination of multiple routes and a very short lap time, which I just knew was going to be even harder with the new silver coin positions. It took me several attempts because some of these silver coins are in insane positions and it requires you to really have to slow down, but eventually I hit the final zipper and crossed the finish line in first place. Frosty Village was my next challenge, and to be fair I quite like the longer track here with its multiple areas, and let's not forget immaculate Christmas vibes it offers. After a lap or two I had all the locations of the silver coins and the knowledge that this was one of the tracks where I was going to have to collect silver coins on multiple laps. Although I hated the forest sections because they required you to go way off track for the silver coins, I was still able to complete this fairly comfortably and grab that 19th balloon. Everfrost Peak I was expecting to be a breeze, as I typically find the aeroplane levels pretty easy. However, after a handful of race attempts I still couldn't locate all of the silver coins, which was concerning. Eventually I just decided to fly through as slow as possible and looked in every corner of the track to eventually find that elusive silver coin that I'd been unable to locate. With that found, it was still a challenge to collect all the silver coins and win the race comfortably by that time. After Everfrost Peak, I was glad to be back with some cozy vibes in Walrus Cove, and the longer course length definitely made the Silver Coin Challenge easier. After doing my usual strategy of sussing out the locations, this one wasn't all that hard and I took the win on my second attempt to set up the rematch against Bluey the Walrus, and I obtained our 22nd balloon. Bluey the Walrus took the lead and held it for the first half of the race, so I was in trouble. But a well-timed boost let me take the lead, and after that it was straight hovering all the way down to the finish line. Another piece of the amulet secured and one step closer to Wizpig. As always I wrapped up Snowflake Mountain's world by completing the Grand Prix challenge, which was also easy, and then Icicle Pyramid's Battle Arena. Now this one actually went down to the final shot of the game between me and Banjo, but an epic homing missile shot off camera took the final 2 bananas and gave me the TT piece. After leaving Snowflake Mountain full of pride, the genie again challenged us to a pointless race that he was never actually going to win. It was a nice romp around the island and another freebie balloon, taking our total up to 23 balloons, so nearly halfway there now. And this set us up for the game's third world, which was Sherbet Island. Look, you know the deal by now. Whale Bay's victory took us up to 24 balloons. The 25th was gained by smashing Crescent Island, which is one of my favourite tracks and one which I used to race against my dad with all the time. Balloon 26 was obtained by destroying Pirate Lagoon in a tough race where TT was hotly in pursuit most of the way, and Balloon 27 was taken from Treasure Caves, which is another of my favourite tracks, and I love the zipper placement here because once you get into a rhythm you can really ride all the zippers to speed out the entire race. My biggest nemesis in DKR, even more so than Whizpig, is Bubbler the Octopus. Even as a kid I hated these races against him, and always found him the game's biggest challenge. You can't believe how happy I was that after hitting some boosts and a couple of well placed missile hits, I overtook him at the end of lap 2 and managed to hold my nerve and get the first place finish to ride out the victory first time. It was now onto the silver coin challenge, and I knew this was about to get incredibly tough. For Balloon 28 I took on Whale Bay, and this is one of the races where they really pushed the silver coins into the wide areas of the course, and not only that, they positioned them all over the place, so you would really have to be collecting on most laps. This one caused me a lot of trouble, because although I could collect all the coins in a good route, the overall higher speed of my opponents and the more aggressive AI meant that they would often be blasting me. This took me around 20 minutes and a whole load of restarts, but I managed to pip Drumstick at the finish line to take first place. Now remember a moment ago where I said that I loved Crescent Island? Well, now I hate it. This silver coin challenge was another incredibly tough one where some of the silver coins are placed into nightmare positions, and again you would need to be collecting coins on multiple laps. Whilst finding ways to distract myself from how punishingly hard this course was, I also remembered that I'd yet to pick up the secret key, which I then did, and after around half an hour of attempts I overtook Diddy on the final turn of the course and took the win by less than a second. Pirate Lagoon was up next, and this was a fairly easy silver coin challenge. The course is narrow and short, so there wasn't really much scope for rare to make this one particularly difficult, so I grabbed the win and the 30th balloon on my first attempt. Likewise, Treasure Caves was so simple, I didn't even need to use my strategy of finding all the silver coins. I just raced it as normal and managed to grab them all on my first attempt to set up the rematch against Bubbler. Sadly, the rematch was not going to be as easy as last time. I was actually struggling quite hard for around 10 minutes or so and kept getting smashed by Bubbler. On one occasion I had the victory in the bag but blew it by floating into a bubble. Sanity, who was watching the stream live on Twitch, suggested that I change the timing of when I was setting off the homing missiles, and that seemed to do the trick, because a couple of attempts after that, just like the first race, I managed to overtake Bubbler at the end of lap 2, and then I held my nerve to keep first place until the finish line, and job complete. One of my most feared boss battles was now over. All that remained in Sherbet Island was to win the Grand Prix trophy, which was a piece of cake as always, and then do the Dark Water Beach Battle Arena. Yet again it was down to me and Banjo in a one-on-one endgame where the next hit would decide the winner, and just like last time I fired off a homing missile off camera which decided the battle and gave me the TT amulet piece. Dragon Forest would be the final world before the battle with Whizpig, and I just knew the difficulty would be ramping up from here. Windmill Plains was chosen as the first race to grab our 30-second balloon. It took me 2 attempts, but it wasn't due to difficulty, it was because I was doing some abysmal racing and I just needed to focus more. Greenwood Village saw me overcome a late challenge from Drumstick towards the end of the race to take the win and balloon number 33. The 34th balloon was from Boulder Canyon, which I absolutely love as a track. It has such a cool vibe, and whilst I was taking all of that in, I grabbed the final hidden key in the game by raising the drawbridge. After taking that, I restarted the race and then went on to take the victory and get the balloon before moving on to get balloon 35 from Haunted Woods, which I'm really not a big fan of. With those races won and the balloons in the bag, it was time to face Smokey the Dragon. I always found this boss to be super easy, and maybe that's why I dropped my guard, and despite being in the lead in lap 3, I let my muscle memory take over and I made a turn into the left instead of the right, and just completely screwed myself over and it cost me the race. Luckily though, I just reset and beat Smokey the next attempt to begin the next round of silver coin challenges. I decided to start with windmill planes, and I was soon to realise of a grave mistake that I had made. Now, you saw at the start of the video, I've previously unlocked both TT and Drumstick as playable characters. Like I said, I love this game, so I've played it to death. This, however, creates a problem for completing Adventure 2. Because both characters are unlocked, this also means that they become opponents during races. Now, Drumstick is usually not a problem as his stats are fairly quite fair. TT, on the other hand, has superior stats to the core characters, and thus a problem is created. Quite frankly, if the AI has chosen TT to be your rival in a race, then you're going to have a heck of a challenge to beat him. After around half an hour of attempts of windmill planes, I found that Tip Top, despite being my go-to character, was just not going to have high enough top speed to allow me the tools I needed to win this race. So I decided to change character to TT to continue the windmill planes silver coin challenge, and immediately I could tell the difference. Look, the challenge completion criteria doesn't stipulate not using TT, so technically I could have used him for the whole of Adventure 2, but alas, let's move on. With TT under my control, I took down windmill planes with ease to get balloon number 36 and moved into Greenwood Village. For the record, there is no other silver coin challenge in this game where the developers gave you a bigger FU than Greenwood Village. This level is just nuts. Not only do you need to take multiple routes to collect all of the silver coins, but they also position one directly behind a tree, which requires you to loop back on yourself, almost coming to a standstill. Even with TT still as my character, this one was nuts. By pure chance, I found out that if you slide across the canopy here, instead of dropping down, you can stay on the upper level and completely remove the need to drop down to the slower level. With this strategy now known, it was only a matter of time before I collected boon number 37 after around 40 minutes of work. Boulder Canyon was up next, and really this didn't pack much of a challenge. If you remember to ring the bell to raise the drawbridge behind you, then you can cause all sorts of chaos for the racers behind you. If you do this on every lap and collect the silver coins, which aren't all that hard this time, then you've got balloon number 38 in the bag. Haunted Woods I thought would cause me more trouble given that it's a short course with multiple routes, but with TT in tow I took it down after a handful of attempts. It was at this time I felt that I had perhaps made things too easy for myself by playing as TT, and with encouragement, or demands from the chat over on Twitch, I switched back to Tip Top to continue the adventure. Smokey's second boss race was up next, and in all honesty it's hardly more difficult than the first time. The key here is that as soon as you take the lead, just fly low as close to the ground as possible, grab the blue balloons and boost when you have a clear path to maximise the boost time. With Smokey wiped out, I was ready to polish off the world. Grand Prix couldn't have been any easier. First place taken easy, trophy in the cabinet, and then it was time to move on to the battle arena, which is Smokey Castle. This is by far the easiest battle arena. Just keep doing the same route that gets you 2 bananas, go and drop them off, and then do the exact same route again a couple more times, and Bob's your uncle, you have the win, and the TT amulet is now complete and it's time to leave. Upon exiting, you get the cutscene where Wizpig's face is now complete and you're all set to finally have your showdown with the pig himself. After giving Wizpig a deep throat with my plane, I began my attempts to beat him, which I knew would be hard with Tip Top, and after hours of playing, my illness was starting to make my reflexes almost unplayable. I needed a break. But just when it looked like I had Wizpig beaten, out of nowhere he pipped me in the final moments of the race. With such bad luck, I decided to call it a day and I would pick up the adventure another time. The next day I continued, and with medication kicking in, I faced off against Wizpig again, although this time it was me who overtook Wizpig at the end of the race to take the victory and to wipe the smug look off his face. What a relief. I always found this race to be tough, and the biggest challenge here for me was having to unlearn the layout of the track. Because when I was a kid, this took me so many attempts, I just had every turn ingrained in my head, and having to unlearn those for Adventure 2 was very tough. So cue the ending cutscene, the beach party, Wizpig making an escape and the end credits rolling. Challenge complete, and what fun it was doing this challenge. Oh, but Glenn, the challenge was to get 47 balloons and complete Adventure 2 and you haven't done that yet. Alright, Weasel in the comments, do grow up and touch some grass. Spoiler alert, the game ain't done yet. Just like Adventure 1, you need to continue the adventure by starting the rocket launch on the beach to send yourself into the game's final real world, which is Future Funland, or Space World as I always called it. Space Dust Alley was a breeze for Balloon 40, Dark Moon Caverns was Balloon 41, Spaceport Alpha was Balloon 42, and Balloon 43 was won by winning Star City, which is a track I love, and it's another track that I used to do loads of head-to-head races with my dad on. Now Future Funland has no Grand Prix or secret key to find, and also has no two-stage boss. So after we completed those races, we go straight into the silver coin challenges. Space Dust Alley has some of the most ridiculous silver coin placements. You literally have to turn around and collect some of them, and others require near perfect right angle turns near walls to get them. This one took so many attempts, but I decided I would collect all coins on the first 2 laps and then just leave myself with a straight race in lap 3. Now that paid off, and after around half an hour or so, I finally managed to take the course down. This is definitely one of the harder silver coin challenges in the game. Dark Moon Caverns had Balloon 45, which after the hell of Space Dust Alley was actually quite enjoyable, and I managed to polish it off after 2 or 3 attempts. The longer course length definitely helped here, and with it being a fairly narrow track, there wasn't many nightmarish positions for them to try and hide the coins. No trouble with this one. Spaceport Alpha gave us our penultimate balloon, and the biggest challenge here is the track being quite a short one. Thankfully it's also fairly narrow apart from the 2 wide open areas, one of which has a silver coin right out of the way, but thankfully they put a zipper right next to it, and if you know how much I love playing around with zippers. Oh hang on, anyway, level complete, which just leaves one more silver coin challenge to go, which was at Star City, and Star City has the final silver coin challenge, and maybe it was just luck, maybe it's because I love the track, and maybe it's just because Rare felt sorry for having previously made so many horribly difficult silver coin challenges that they made this one super easy. I did this one on my first attempt, which was nice, and that's all 47 balloons ticked off now. Now just one more final race against Wizpig and the challenge will actually be conquered. Now I'll be honest, it felt like much longer when I was playing the game, but I actually defeated Wizpig after around 20 minutes of attempts. I always found Wizpig 2 to be much easier than the first Wizpig race, and there's also a couple of hints here to help you. Firstly, use any of the blue balloons as soon as you find them, don't try and stockpile them. Secondly, and most importantly, use the shield balloon right before you enter the chasm where there's lasers being blasted from all directions. There's so many here, and if any of them hit you, you'll just lose too much time, speed and momentum to be able to defeat Wizpig. Also, don't be afraid to use the right shoulder button to help with the tighter turns in the aeroplane, especially when you're on the inside of the tunnels. It makes things much simpler to handle. So with 47 balloons and Wizpig defeated, it's challenge complete and time to let the party begin. Wizpig's head has been replaced by the genie's head, and there's a couple of strange things about this ending cutscene. Firstly, given it's Timber the Tiger's parents' island, why do they have a genie head on the island? Secondly, during the cutscene you get to see all of the game's bosses who are no longer brainwashed by Wizpig. So Tricky the Triceratops with his kids, Bluey the Walrus is hanging out with TT, and Smokey the Dragon is just free and flying around. But for some reason, you don't get to see Bubbler the Octopus, so for all we know as a player, he's still off his nut. But let's talk about the real stars, you, the Skill Club 64 community. The Discord is absolutely buzzing with players tackling all of these challenges. It's awesome to see everyone pushing their N64 skills. Our Skill Club 64 leaderboard is getting seriously competitive, and this past week has seen a record number of new submissions. A shout out this week goes to F0X Celebrity WMJ, who has joined and totally blown us away with his completion of all 3 F0X challenges, and he's given us some real insight into how to best tackle this game's challenges. Want to join the ranks of N64 legends and get your name on the board? Join the Discord and head over to Challenge Submissions, and let's continue to build the ultimate retro gaming community. So 6 challenges down and 55 to go, the N64 Randomizer is relentless. What intense test of skill will we be attempting to conquer in the next video? What game will be randomly selected from our remaining list of 55? Get ready for some radical retro boarding, because next up we're hitting the slopes in 1080 snowboarding, and the challenge is to complete Golden Forest in a time of 1 minute 20 seconds or under. Golden Forest is a classic track, but 1 minute 20 is going to require some serious speed and clean runs. I hope I don't wipe out too many times, because even by completing this challenge today, it would give you a top 25 placement on the world rankings, so this challenge is definitely not for the faint heart. If you loved watching Diddy Kong Racing get completely mastered, and if you're hyped for 1080 snowboarding, then smash that like button, subscribe to the Skill Club 64 challenge over here on my channel, and there's always more epic N64 challenges on the way, so don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video on the slopes.